Hey guys, so this is my final presentation. My data set was the Islamic State allegiances. I chose this data set because I thought it'd be pretty interesting to see what groups in this Islamic State are allegiance with each other and how those allegiances affect that state and how strong these allegiances are. So here's a picture of my data. Actually, I'll just start with the importance. The importance of it, like I said, is to see how strong each allegiances was and to know which, I guess, state is friends with another state and which state isn't like really talking to each other to see where the focal points are. The objective was it. The objective of my data set was to understand how these connections affect the Islamic State and how we can use these to maybe make friends with a certain state that has a lot of connections to maybe ease the tensions over there and stuff. Um, so for my data description, my nodes were the each Islamic state and like their head, their leader, and the links were the allegiances, like their friendships, I guess. So as you can see, there's some where they're not really friends, and there's others that like a lot of people are friends with. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Um, for my methods and data, or for my methods, results, and discussions, I chose two data methods to calculate to look at my data set. I chose one to calculate the degree of each node and the average degree, and the mean the average degree was 2.1. So that means for every state has at least two connections on average. And then the centrality was 0.01. So that means they're not really like all central together. They're more spread out, not based around one node in particular. And I thought that was pretty interesting because I expect the Islamic State to have allegiances with at least more than three people because they are a pretty small group, so I imagine that they would want to have a lot of allegiances with as many people as they can. But turns out that's not really the case. And having the centrality be so low was something I also thought was interesting because instead of being centered around one main group, they're all kind of dispersed. While there is some big groups out there with like six or five allegiances to other states, I thought that was an interesting tidbit. So the main points of my thing is that the Islamic State is not as connected as I originally thought. It definitely has some allegiances for sure. There's definitely like a lot of talking between them, but not as much as you would expect. So I guess that means that they maybe have some trouble within their own Islamic State, not just trouble with outsiders. Like maybe there's some tensions going on between them. Um, so the potential weaknesses of my study is that maybe some Islamic states don't report their allegiances to each other because they want to keep it secret. They don't want like them to know that like clan or state A is friends with state B for trade or for like war secrets. I don't know. That's just something that I thought was a weakness in my data set that could maybe be resolved, but I don't see it how they would do that. And the overarching theme um, for my final presentation is to really don't assume that some state is talking to everybody in their state. It'd be easy to quickly assume that everyone in a certain state is connected to each other, but there's actually a lot of not disparity, but like a lot of uh, that there's a lot of maybe potential hostility between these clans. So yeah, thank you for listening and enjoy.